I, 30, am the only one of my siblings without children. This is a personal choice for many reasons I won't get into. My parents live with my sister who is 9 years older and has 2 kids I see often. However, my brother, 2 years older, has a young girl and 2 little boys. All 3 are likely on the spectrum, but my brother and his wife refuse to check through a doctor. They are also homeschooled in a very rural area, and I don't get to see my brother and his family very often, maybe once a year. Every time I do spend time with my brother and his family, it never fails that he finds a way to dump his 3 kids on me, who may have special needs. The second he can, so him and his wife can disappear from the kids area. I really only see my brother's family during large family events. The kids usually have their own separate area to play and eat away from the adults smoking cigarettes and drinking ECT, so they can socialize and let loose, so to speak. My brother's 3 kids don't leave the house very much, almost never. They live on a big farm, so when they go to these kind of events, they're over the top excited and harder to manage. And one is nonverbal but constantly walks around looking to play with literally deadly things. So needless to say, I'm not qualified or even capable to watch my brother's 3 kids by myself as well as they need. Plus their cousins, my sister's kids, also want to spend time with their cousins, so I'm sitting there by myself watching 5 kids aged 4 to 8 by myself, 3 of which may have special needs. One is a freaking monster. Don't hate me. And because I'm the cool uncle, I gave them a Nintendo Switch for my own peace of mind. My brother assumes every time I'll just watch his trophies. It's gotten so blatant on my brother's end that lately at family events my brother will give me a physical paper list of parental duties, a backpack with stuff for the kids, then turn his phone off in front of me, then walk away after dumping his kids on me. I go to these family events to spend time with my whole family, not to be an isolated babysitter. I love my nieces and nephews, but this is one of the reasons I didn't have children in my 20s. Family events are just as important to me as other parents there, and they can manage to watch their own kids, but my brother always finds a way to ditch me with his kids. Then ultimately my sister's kids join in too. I don't go to these family events to be a babysitter, so I've just started drinking a bit before I show up, and drink a little bit consistently enough to safely say I shouldn't have 5 small children in my care. Since these times are really the only times my brother sees me, he thinks I'm a drunk and spreading rumors as such. Not the idiot. But that's probably not the best way to deal with this. Drinking and allowing others to assume you're a drunk is ridiculous. Get into conversations and then say you can't simply leave the chat and look after the kids. Or start cooking something so you can't abandon the stove or the pan for too long. Honestly, there's no point being honest in these situations because they will probably only get selfishly offended. But perhaps you don't want to be drunk every time you meet your family. This is genius. I commend you. At some point though, you've got to actually confront him, even if gently. If he brings a list, tell him I see your shopping list for Santa has been submitted early this year, and refused to take it. Brings a backpack. Tell him the color is a bit off for his complexion, but you admire his backpack fashion sense. And again, don't accept the backpack. Make it clear that these things are below with him, the parent. If need be blunt. Tell him I am not their babysitter. I am here as an adult to socialize with my family, just like you. I will not be in charge of watching the kids today. And walk away. And maybe get a beer, just to solidify the moment. So, firstly, not the idiot for reasons everyone here has stated, but a possible suggestion. If you're bringing a drink with you and getting started sooner than you like, would it be possible for you to pull a bait and switch? Save alcohol bottles from previous occasional drinks at your house and substitute the alcohol for lookalikes. For example, fill your own whiskey bottle with iced tea and just not tell anyone, except maybe concerned aunt if you trust her to keep her mouth shut. Not an idiot either way, of course, and may not be desirable for you, just a suggestion. I, 17, have a half-sister on my dad's side, Jasmine, 27. Me and Jasmine aren't super duper close, but she's very nice. We do keep in touch and just vent about life. Dad isn't very understanding towards Jasmine. I don't really know how to put it, but from what I've seen and heard, he's very pushy towards her and almost always makes some remark about how she's not doing enough. Mom doesn't like her much and says that she doesn't respect them. Jasmine has a friend John, early, mid-30s. I put quotation marks because it's obvious she and John are a lot more than friends, and she has told me before that she loves him, but she refers to him as a friend in front of mom and dad, although they also suspect otherwise. John lives in a neighbor state to us. Jasmine was going to catch a train there and meet him at the station. Long story short, and from the details I heard, mom got hold of Jasmine's phone when she came over at some point and blocked John's number. She has her Gmail on her phone, which mom also blocked John's email from. Jasmine didn't realize until way later. This caused a huge misunderstanding between them. She basically went to the station, waited for hours, and he didn't show up. Jasmine was in a really bad state, and I couldn't believe my parents could pull something like that. So I asked them, and mom said she and dad thought this needed to be done for her own good. I shouted at them, threatening to call the cops if they don't apologize to Jasmine and try to make things right. Side note: I don't know if the cops would do anything in this case or if they're relevant. I just said it in the moment. Dad said I was butting into adult matters and I was too young to understand. I said I understood enough and called him a human trash can. They said I need to mind my mouth and apologize to them, which I refused to. Mom said how she can't believe I'd act like this, and I've picked up on Jasmine's tendencies. My uncle came over the other day and I heard Dad crying to him about how he's so hurt by his daughter, me. I think what I said was justified, but there's quite a few people telling me I'm in the wrong. So did I go too far with my outburst? Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Jasmine is a grown adult and can choose with whom she dates. Your parents were way out of line by blocking him on her phone, her private property. If my parents did that, I'd be going LC or NC for a long while, not just for interfering with my dating life, but also for the gross violation of privacy. Your parents sound like major idiots. Not the idiot. At face value, from what you're saying, you aren't in the wrong. She is 27 years old and can make her own decisions. And while this wouldn't justify doing what your mom did, she had to have had a reason to block his number and email that made it right in her head. Do you know if John has done anything bad to Jasmine that she just didn't want to expose you to? It might be worth the ask. And more than likely, the cops wouldn't have done anything. But also, why is your dad so upset about you calling him some stupid name? Every parent has dealt with that before. Also, why does your mom feel welcome to look through and meddle in your sister's phone when she isn't even her mom? I don't know the situation, but that seems weird. Either way, you aren't in the wrong and you did the right thing with what you knew about your sister and tried to defend her. Not the idiot for what they did to your sister. If I was her, I would go no contact with them until at least they apologized to both her and John. However, you do have the right to be angry. You were protecting your sister. However, threatening the police, that won't get you anywhere. It's clear your parents have lost your respect. Respect is not just given, it needs to be earned. They will need to earn your respect back, especially that of your sisters. But since you live with them and I'm assuming they pay for everything, be prepared for them to hold their ground. In what world they think they are justified in what they did, I have no idea. So overall, I don't think you're an idiot. Good luck. I, 32, have a 14-year-old daughter, Jess. Her father and my husband died in an accident when she was young, so it's been just us two for a long time. As a result, we are very close and she's a lot more open to me than most kids are with their parents. Around a week ago, she asked me if I could take her to the movies on a date with a guy in her class. I know the guy distantly because they've done some extracurriculars together, and I was thrilled he was my daughter's first boyfriend. I took them a few days ago and they ended up hanging out at our house for a bit afterwards. He was extremely polite, and maybe it's just the mum inside me, but I couldn't be happier for her. I went to my older sister's house for coffee earlier this morning. Backstory: my sister has two teenagers, 16 and 17, who live almost full-time with their dad. They had a very messy divorce around 3 years ago, and both kids choose to live with their dad. The reason for this was because my sister was extremely overbearing on them. She was the kind of mum who believed kids should have no privacy and she should run their lives until they were adults. I know she had many arguments with them because she would take away their doors, not let them hang out with friends, search through their phones every night, etc. This was the primary reason for her divorce, although she won't admit that. While I love her, As someone who grew up with little privacy, I fully understand why her kids don't want to live with her. My daughter came up in conversation and so brought up her first date. When I explained how it went, my sister laughed and told me that I must be joking. When she realized I was serious, she told me I was a terrible mother for letting my daughter walk all over me and not setting boundaries. She ranted on for a while, but she basically said that 14-year-olds are incapable of going out themselves and that I was being lazy and neglectful by allowing her to do that. She also said I would never allow my kids to do that, so I replied by saying that's exactly why your kids drive with their dad. She got very quiet and then told me to leave. When I got home, I started thinking more about what I said, and while at the time I thought I was simply telling her what she needed to hear, now I'm wondering if I crossed the line. Not the idiot. Your sister judged you rudely and harshly as a parent. She put herself up to be the paragon of motherhood compared to you. It is more than fair to stand up for yourself. It's actually funny that she didn't consider that you could throw much more back in her face, but if she was more introspective, she might still be married. She started the fight and you finished it. Here's the other thing. She isn't going to be happy with you anytime soon, but it might actually spark something in her regarding how she has treated her kids. There could be something positive for them down the road. She first has to acknowledge she was a terrible parent. Not the idiot. OP, why does your sister get to call you a lazy, neglectful, foolish and passive mother to your face, but when you point out the consequence of her overbearingly controlling parenting style, you're in the wrong? She doesn't get to point fingers and have a fit when a finger is pointed back. When you next have a chance to talk to her, I'd suggest that the topic of parenting is a banned subject for the both of you cause she can't handle it. Talk about the weather instead. It's always the people who have terrible relationships with their kids who want to hand out parenting advice. The fact that neither of her children live with her isn't always indicative of bad parenting. Humans always choose the path of least resistance, but in this case her lack of boundaries was also the reason for her divorce. Sis needs to do some self-reflecting. If you want to maintain a relationship with your sister, this will probably come up again, so it might help to rehearse a little speech, something that maintains that her boundary stomping is a problem but also offers the olive branch of helping her address the behavior so that she can be a better person. My wife, 27, and I, 29, have been married for 6 years. I work as a Python developer. My wife is a stay-at-home mom to our 4-year-old son. For the past 1 year, I've been trying to incorporate more exercise since I'm having a lot of back pain, muscle cramps, difficulty climbing stairs, etc. Basically because of my sedentary job. So now, I do swimming early in the morning and in the evening for 1.5 hours each every day. Totally 3 hours of swimming. I also do yoga every morning before swimming. As a result of this, I'm feeling extremely hungry almost all the time. As per my exercise routine, I should eat about 4,500, maybe 5,000 calories per day. Most often, I eat a bowl of oatmeal and boiled eggs for breakfast, egg and cheese sandwiches for morning snack, ham and cheese sandwiches and a hearty soup for lunch, a milkshake, made with honey, almonds, any fruit, flax seeds, coconut milk and coconut oil, for afternoon snack, and pasta and grilled meat for dinner. I also have dessert, ice cream or brownie, at night if I'm still hungry. My wife recently was told by her doctor that if she doesn't start putting effort to lose weight, there was high health risk. She was put on a strict diet of about 1,500 calories a day along with gradually increasing exercise. She has been finding it really hard to stick to her diet because she misses the food that she used to before. She told me a few days ago that I should follow the same diet as her but eat more portions. She said that she feels tempted by the food I eat. I suggested to her that she speak to her therapist about this because I have very different health requirements from her, but she thinks I'm being selfish by not supporting her in weight loss journey. The thing is, I need to eat insane portions of food if I eat just veggies, fruits and lean meat because my calorie requirement is way higher than hers. My wife is refusing to talk to me, saying that I'm a terrible husband for not helping her. I asked her if me eating in my workroom and not bringing the food into other areas would help her feel less tempted, but she said just knowing that there's food that she shouldn't eat in the house, she'll feel tempted. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She should absolutely speak to a dietitian as well as her therapist because cravings are her problem. She can be tempted just walking out in the world watching people eat a donut or having a venti iced caramel macchiato, but they shouldn't all stop and eat what she needs to eat. You can encourage her and support her in her journey, but it doesn't involve you just eating identically so she doesn't feel tempted. Ask her to exercise more so she can eat more too. I can't be very unbiased here. Food is always a hot button for me, and I'm normally live and let live. If she had to eat her 1,500 calories diet or she would die, I'd eat that. But she has other options, like exercising more. Eating cal-rich food but in smaller quantities. But it sounds like she's a if I'm suffering you have to suffer with me type. Sorry man. Not the idiot. Not the idiot. Absolutely not. My doctor told me in 2018 no fruit, no rice, no pastry, no bread, no milk, no juice, no potatoes, no pasta, no chocolate, cakes, cookies, etc. I had to completely change my diet. The only happy thing was he doubled my calorie intake and that I'd still lose weight, and he was right. My husband changed zilched. The fridge is full of chocolate bars, donuts, scones, etc. I am still on the same diet. If I slip, that is on me. I know my rules and my husband has zero responsibility for me. Your wife is an adult. Our responsibilities are to ourselves.